Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Day Job to Dream Job Summit. I'm here with a dear friend and amazing woman, Natalie Taggart. I'm so excited to have you, love.
Yay! Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Yay! So, if you don't know Natalie, she is a feminine leadership coach and the director of leadership development at Inner Glow Circle. She believes that within every woman is a desperately needed leader, and she guides her clients to overcome fears, self doubt, and limiting beliefs to unleash their feminine power to create the impact know that they are born to have. So, welcome, Natalie.
Yay! Thank you so much. Hearing you read that, I was like, oh, like what?
Yay, love it, love it, love it. So, to kick us off, can you tell me a little bit about your day job to dream job story? How did this whole evolution come to be?
Totally. Oh my gosh, such a journey. I was in consulting. So when I first graduated from college, I was a communications consultant. I did
Okay.
that for over 5 years. And I was just working constantly all the time. I was also doing a master's degree part time and just like in a really bad work situation. And I
Yeah.
didn't know what to do about it. One day, on my way home from the office, I had a complete and utter like nervous breakdown in the middle of the street. Like I couldn't even make it home to my like apartment and my room before I started just like hysterically crying. It was
Yeah.
really scary. Like I had never had a panic attack before and I didn't know what was going on. And like,
Mhm.
so I was that girl like walking down the street, like sobbing and just like, it was
We've
like
all
not
been
a good
there.
situation. Yeah. And so I was like, oh my God, like this is not, up until then I'd been like muscling through it, of like, okay, like this isn't so bad, like I can make this work or and
Yeah.
after that it was like, no, like I gotta get out of here. I have to figure something else out. Like this is not what I meant for.
Mhm.
And, then it was kind of game over after that. It's like, wee.
Yeah, yeah. And so from that moment, okay, so you have this realization, you're like, this is not working. Like, how did you go from that realization to like actually having this business? Like, what was that journey like?
Yeah, so I started working with a health coach to help me with my anxiety. So like
Okay.
I after I had that panic attack, I was like, okay, like I'm having anxiety, like this is but I wanted to manage it holistically and through like diet and stuff like that. And so she really helped me and I was like, "Oh, wow, this is a career." I like looked at her and I remember
Yeah.
and I was like this is like a thing that like people do. I had no
Yeah.
idea. And so I asked her about it, and she was like, "Oh my God, of course!" And like, you would be so good at it.
Yeah.
So she told me about the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, which I started that program in 2013. So I was like, "Oh my God, like this is it! I can totally like help women who have had this same experience or same problem
Yeah.
that I've had." And so that's kind of how where I started and how I got started in coaching was like through
Totally.
that program and that experience. So
So cool.
it took meeting someone who was doing it, which is why things like the summit are so important. I think sometimes we get really caught up in the like, we look at people online, we're like, oh my gosh, like they can do it, but not me. But like knowing someone and like seeing someone doing it is so powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. So I'm curious, what did you find to be the biggest challenge when you were transitioning from working full time to running your own business?
Totally. So it's so funny. So it took me almost 2 years from when I started or from that like nervous breakdown experience to when I actually quit my job. It took me a little bit of time to
Yeah.
just like get myself together and like gather the
Mm-hmm.
self confidence and stuff like that. And I thought
Totally.
it was going to be a cakewalk because I was like, oh my God, I've been doing this on the side. Like, it'll
Yeah.
be so easy and now I'll have all this time. But
Mm-hmm.
I think the biggest thing for me was a mental shift from, um, I don't want to call it like working for free, but I think a lot of times, like in what we do in our businesses, like all the value we give and all the emails and like summits like this and stuff like that, like it's technically like not paid. And I think
Right.
that was a big mindset shift for me because in a day job, like you're getting paid just to like show up and like do whatever. And so it kind of
Yeah.
took me a while to be like, oh my gosh, like yes, all these things are like not paid, but it's how you get your name out there. It's how you build your tribe. It's how you add value. And then that
Yeah.
like helps people want to work with you.
Interesting.
But when I first started, I was like, ugh, like
I have to do marketing? What?
Yeah, it was like my relationship to marketing was like really like wonky in that way. And so it was a big mindset shift. And now like doing stuff like this and all the writing I do and all the periscopes I do, like it's just really fun. It's how to connect with people, you know? But when I first started, it was like, ugh. So that was like a big shift, like a mindset shift that I had to undertake.
Cool.
So, yeah. And I don't think people really talk about that. Like, it's nothing that I had like ever seen or heard before, but that kind of shift of like going paid to hourly to just like your business.
It's you. Yeah. Totally. So interesting. And something else interesting about you, you recently changed your niche. So you used to be more of a health coach, and now you're focused on women's leadership, and you help women become forces of nature. So what was that transition like for you? Because I know a lot of people watching this, they may have like outgrown a former, incarnation of their business, but not really be sure how to take those next steps. So can you talk about that a little bit?
Oh, totally. Oh my gosh. It was many like late night teary phone calls to you. And, that was not easy.
Yeah.
So like I said, I went to Institute for Integrative Nutrition in 2013. And it was amazing, right? It's a great school. It's a great program. But when I finished, like, I knew that I wanted to be doing deeper work, like, to me, and even my experience with anxiety, like, it was never just about the food or the diet or the like surface level lifestyle changes. It was more about like my beliefs and like who I am, that caused me to get in that situation, right? So like self-worth and my relationship to work and my relationship to my voice and all this kind of stuff. And so I knew, and of course I didn't have language for any of that at the time, but I knew that like there was something more and deeper. So I went on to get 2 different life coaching certifications, and that was 2014. But then I was still trying to like health coach and then kind of sneakily like do the deep inner work. And so
like you think you're getting kale, but really I'm gonna like change your life.
You can kale smoothie, but really like let's talk about your feelings. It's like, and like it was confusing my clients.
Yeah.
It was making me frustrated because I was like, I know there's so much more I can help you with.
Yeah.
So it just like wasn't a good fit. It was just when I was looking at my marketing and how I talked about what I do, I was like, like this really isn't health coaching. And it took me, I did a workshop about a year ago in Iceland. A friend of mine was organizing like a cultural retreat out there and asked me to do a workshop. And I was like, okay, well, these people, if someone's going to like a culture and transformational like storytelling workshop in Iceland, they don't want to hear about like your quinoa bowl. So it was like, not that there's anything wrong with quinoa bowls. I love quinoa bowls, but just like that conversation, So I was like, okay, I'm going to create something that's a little bit deeper. So we looked at people's inner stories, and I did some live coaching. And by the end of the workshop, everyone was crying. So it was just really powerful, including myself, because I was like, oh my God, like I can do this. I don't have to couch it in like lose weight and let's talk about your feelings. It was more just, no, like if you want to do this inner work, there are people who want that, just that.
Oh my God.
And it was so eye-opening for me because I was like, oh my gosh, like I can just start here. I don't have to start the conversation somewhere else and then lead it here. I can just start here. But I had to be the one to start that conversation. I had to get brave because I was also afraid people are going to think, I was like weird or out there. Like, what do you mean? And realizing that not only that there were people, but they like it's needed was so eye-opening for me. And so after that, I came home and I was like, I'm not going to be a health coach anymore. I am going to be a leadership coach. So and so then it's just been kind of off to the races. There's all these like evolutions of how my business has grown. But it's just been crazy since then, and just so much more aligned and authentic with how I want to be working with people and how I see my role in their transformation.
Cool. I love that.
Yeah.
So one of the themes of this summit is women inspiring other women. So one of my like reasons for creating it is there's a lot of competition and jealousy, especially in this like live your best life space amongst coaches, and almost it's coming from a scarcity mindset, right? And so I am super passionate about shifting that and actually grounding into the fact that if somebody else can do it, you can too. And you talked a little bit about how your first coach really was the first one who like showed you what's possible. Are there any other entrepreneurs, or has she been really the person who has been that, like, if she can do it, I can too person for you?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I mean, there are so many people like that in my journey, and it's interesting. Like with every evolution of mine, it's like I kind of find other women to kind of look up to and other people who are doing similar things. So it's a constant like growth process. But yeah, I mean, definitely my first coach, her name's Ellen Kittredge. She's still a health coach. So if you guys want to go look her up, she's fantastic. Whitney Harris got me into my life coach training, and she was my first, I'll call her like soul coach. Like she was the first one I worked with on like getting in touch with that side of me. And then of course Katie DePaula, who's the founder of Inner Glow Circle, was a woman that I really looked up to, especially once I had first quit and was like doing it full time. And now I'm working with Lisa Fabrega, who's also a leadership coach, and she's just so phenomenal, and Kelly Atwood, who's a wealth consciousness coach. So it's all just like I look at kind of where I want to be, and I'm like, okay, well, like, who do I see is either creating that or like in that space, and like, how can I learn from them, and where are my gaps, and how can I find or learn from them, and then I just kind of, yeah, like slip in there and grow from there. So, and that's what I love best about, it's one of the things I love best about the coaching space, and I know, like you said, it can be like it can seem very competitive, or it can seem kind of catty, which really does. It comes from a lack mindset and a scarcity mentality. And really the truth is that there's room for everyone, and someone who hears someone else like may not be able to hear you, but your people can, I say this to my clients all the time, like your people can only hear you. Like your voice is so needed, because you can hear something over and over and over again and not have it click until someone says it that like one way that you're like, oh my God, like, what? Like, that's what this is all about. And like, you are so needed, like, for your people, and it's your job. It's not your job to judge, like, I'm not good enough to get it out there. You just have to get it out there.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah, so that's really something I feel really passionately about, because we're all needed.
I so agree with that, and I'm so glad that you pointed that out, because I think, it's so common for people to doubt, like what I want to say has already been said, or there's already like a million health coaches. And so like, thank you for that reminder. I think it's so powerful.
Totally. It's so, we all fall into it. And I was actually thinking about this the other day. It's like, like there's so many health coaches or life coaches, like everyone, it seems like everyone is doing that now, but I'm like, no one ever says that about like lawyers.
Totally.
Doctors, you know, there are so many lawyers or doctors. It doesn't matter. They're still needed, and everyone needs a life coach in my opinion. So
totally.
You know, it's just part of the industry, and it's amazing. So
yeah, no, I love that. So a lot of people watching might be like, oh my God, she's like so successful, like, you know, she has done so much, like, wow, look at this amazing, powerful woman. And so I'm really interested in peeling back the curtain in this summit for these like inspiring leaders. And so I'm curious, do you ever struggle with self-doubt and insecurity? And if so, how do you push past it?
When do I not struggle with self-doubt and insecurity is more the question.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, every day, right? It's an everyday choice to say, like, this is what I'm doing and this is what I'm committed to. And yes, I may be afraid and feel self-doubt, but I'm going to go do it anyway. I think when I first started, I thought there was something wrong with me inherently, that I was experiencing this, and that it meant like I wasn't good enough, or I couldn't do it, or I wasn't cut out for it, or whatever, when really it's natural. Like everyone experiences it. It's actually a good sign that you're growing out of your comfort zone when something like that is happening. So, it's an everyday choice, and it doesn't mean anything is wrong. It means everything's actually working perfectly, and you just move through it. I'll sometimes have my clients like talk to the fear, the part of them that's scared or feeling self-doubt, because it's just a part of them, just like their higher self, just like, you know, the self that wants to grow is a part of them. And so not letting that part that's scared run the show is how you get to where you want to be going. You can feel it and not let it control your actions, for sure.
I love that. Thanks for sharing that. So, So
Just got all my little tips and tricks
oh my
here.
God, you're full of them. It's the best. So for you, what's the best part of being an entrepreneur?
I love, it's such a good question. I love being an entrepreneur because, I mean, the growth is like none other. I'm so much more myself than I was even 6 months ago, even a year ago when I was deciding to like leave health coaching and transition into leadership coaching. Like, it's just a constant evolution and like peeling those layers of like, what is really true for me? And how do I want to be living? And how do I want to communicate in the world? How do I want to be out in the world? And
Totally.
I don't think any other job or, career really encourages that.
Oh my
And
God,
yeah, it's like when I was in consulting, it was very much like be that like fit this like mold of a person of how you're supposed to be and like don't ask too many questions and whatever and don't, God forbid, talk about your personal life in the office, like like
what a radical shift, like from then to now. And now it's like, like by sharing
links on Facebook.
Yeah, but like you inspire so many people with that.
Yeah, thank you. So I think just that process and showing other women that it's okay to be themselves. I think we have still so much shame in our society about who we are as women and our voices, our bodies, our emotions, our, name something and someone has shame around it, right? And it's just not okay anymore, right? We're creating a new paradigm where the new normal is self-acceptance and self-love and living that full out in the world. And so I'm just so grateful and honored to be like a small part of that and to show my clients, how to be that as well. So
yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, that's a perfect segue because you are doing a really cool challenge all about being a force of nature. So can you tell us, like, what is a force of nature and what is this challenge all about?
Yes, I totally can. I'm so excited. So, a force of nature is a woman who knows exactly who she is and isn't afraid to use her voice and live that out in the world. She knows she has a message and she is out there not only sharing it, but living it and embodying it every single day. She is tapped into that place in herself and knows she's the powerful creator of her own experience and she can manifest and create her life exactly how she wants it. She's practicing that.
I love it.
So it came about because, again, like so much of what I work with is around your feminine power, and the forces of nature is like the epitome of that feminine power, right? We talk about Mother Earth. We talk about nature is this kind of like creative, fertile space, and getting back in touch with, and we are part of nature. And as women, we're literally like the creators of like the human race. Yeah. So by tapping back into that part of ourselves, we can literally create anything we want. And so that's what becoming a force of nature is all about, is creating your life and your message in the way that you want it. So it's 5 days, and every day we're working with a different element. So there'll be videos from me and an email and like challenges. Oh, I'm hearing some like banging, so don't.
Oh, it's probably me. I'm doing this from like a cafe in Bolivia.
In
so what are you gonna do?
I love you. Yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, it's gonna be.
Oh, go ahead.
It's 5 days and with like multimedia, so videos, emails, meditations, and then there'll also be like a Periscope component. So
cool.
It's gonna be really fun.
Where do people go to sign up?
They can go to the link that I sent. It's natalieanntaggart.com/be a force of nature, all like dashed. So Natalie
and that in the description for this video.
Yeah.
So yeah, for anybody watching.
Down there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Cool. And
excited about.
Yeah, and so you're about to be speaking at an event, IGC Ignite. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
I am so excited about it. So I'm also the Director of Leadership Development for Inner Glow Circle. And how I really see it is like we are creating the next generation of like leaders and coaches and women who are bringing this new paradigm about.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's an event that we're hosting in Washington, D.C. It's April 28th, not only for our members, but really anyone who knows that they're meant for something more, who might be interested in exploring like an alternative like career or like something different than what they're doing now, right? Anyone who feels like they're meant for more, or like they've ever been told they're too much or too sensitive or like too emotional, like especially as women, which is like bullcrap in my opinion, but yeah. So I'm going to be talking about how to become a force of nature, how to tap into this part of ourselves, and especially using our emotions as powerful tools for creation and manifestation, because one of our gifts, I believe, is that's one of our gifts, right? Is that we just feel so much, and we are such emotional, we're so tapped in, and it's really not, it's not a weakness, it's a power. And so how do we harness that power to create change?
I love that. So cool.
You're so cool.
No. Well, is there anything else you'd like to leave our listeners with? Any last like piece of advice, nugget of wisdom?
Yeah, I think that just remember that it's a journey, and it's so easy to get caught up in, I want to be there and I'm here and I'm not there yet, and like it's so easy.
Totally.
And just constantly coming back to like the present moment while keeping your eye on the big vision. Because nothing, it's so cliche, but you know, nothing happens overnight until it does. And the only way things happen overnight is that you keep taking those steps and keep putting the pieces in place to get where you want to go. I still remember like sitting in my like soulless cube at my consulting job and watching, I think it was Sarah Jenks. She's an emotional eating coach. Like one of Sarah Jenks's videos, I was like, oh my God, like how do I get there? Like I want that. And now I'm here like talking to you. Yeah. And so it's like, and it feels like overnight, like that day feels like yesterday, even though so much has happened. So just remembering that, like, no matter where you are right now, just keep taking the steps and it'll happen. So just keep going and don't quit.
Oh, I love it. Thank you so much for being here with us, Natalie, and sharing all of your love and light and wisdom. It's been so cool to have you.
You're so welcome. It's been my pleasure. Thank you for organizing this.
Yeah.
So amazing. You're such an inspiration.
No.
Yeah, I can't wait to see you all soon.
Yay. Mwah.